Captain Benson Ikponmwosa joins us again today to give us some more perspective on this air safety, which we've been focusing on ever since the helicopter crash. Well, the Senate also talked about some of these matters, and here is what they spoke about.
In March and October 2011, there were 3 reported cases of air mishaps by the Air Force at different locations across the country. 2 Navy Augusta helicopters also crashed in 2007 and 2011. On Saturday, the nation lost the governor of Kaduna State, Patrick Yakowa, the former National Security Advisor, General Uwe Azazi, and 4 others in another helicopter crash. For lawmakers, these horrifying air accidents are one too many.
Worried that the resurgence of air mishaps in the country is suggestive of a deep-seated systems problem.
What is worse, no report has been published to explain the causes of these accidents. Lawmakers are also worried that if military helicopters are crashing at an alarming rate, how can Nigeria be said to be battle-ready?
The purpose of the investigation is not to crucify anybody or to wake up the dead, but to prevent future occurrence. Some people were talking here the other time that Nigeria should go ahead and attack Bakassi with this type of helicopters.
However, some lawmakers are disturbed over what they called the indiscriminate use of military aircrafts.
Before we know it, naval aircraft, Air Force aircraft, or choppers will be used to carry wives of leaders to go and buy vegetables in the market.
The Senate directed its committees on Navy, Army, and Aviation to investigate the frequency of these air mishaps to find a lasting solution. Lawmakers also asked the executive to publish the report of previous plane crashes in the country. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
Well, there you have that one. Well, the talk continues. Well, thank you for coming on this morning, by the way.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, ever since you came, we've had some others in the industry coming forward to say that, well, some of the matters you highlighted wasn't exactly the way it plays out in the industry. They say, for instance, track-on, the total radar coverage exists, and you can't be talking about landing at night and without light. They say that's not happening. And some of those documents were also published, and so they think that they don't know where all that was coming from.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're mentioning some points. Track-on, total radar coverage. That's what it's supposed to be. What is it when a country has total radar coverage? 2 things, 2 reasons really why you want to do that. One is for security. You don't want any unwanted aeroplanes from anywhere, usually military, incursing into your airspace without your knowledge. You also want to ease air traffic control. That means with radar, the man who is sitting in the control room is able to see all the airplanes in the sky. And so separation becomes a lot easier than when the man is only separating airplanes just by hearing what they report as their positions in the sky. A few years ago, in Nigeria, pilots will be 60 miles away from Lagos. They will claim they were 20 miles from Lagos because there was this rush to always get ahead of the other aircraft. So you want to get landing clearance quickly and all that. With radar, it's impossible to do that. However, of what use is the radar that we have when the air traffic services is still as mundane as it used to be?
Is that the case? Because you also spoke about the AFIRS, wherein you can give real-time information about the aircraft, wherever it is, on the air, to those on the ground.
Let me tell you what goes on in our airspace, because I fly in that airspace. And a lot of people I know come here, they open their mouths.
You still, let's get this straight, you still fly?
Yes, I still fly.
You used to fly?
I still fly.
When was your last flight?
My last flight was in March this year. I still fly. Nothing has changed.
So how about
all my colleagues have been talking to me. Look, a plane takes off from Abuja. The pilot talks to Kano, because immediately it takes off from Abuja, climbing through maybe 5,000 feet. The next controlling authority is Kano. So he's got to talk to Kano on the radio. There is a repeater station between Abuja and Kano for that frequency, so that if we call, Kano can actually receive. Many times, that repeater station fails. Pilots can't reach Kano, so they can't get higher altitude to fly. They are on their way to Lagos. Right, we have radar. The man who is controlling still wants me on that radar to tell him when I'm going to get to Ilorin, when I'm going to get to Akure, when I'm going to get to that, if they are on my track. That doesn't happen in radar airspace. Look, Ghana has radar. Anytime I'm flying either into Accra or I'm flying across the airspace to, say, Abidjan, as soon as my nose enters into the Ghanaian airspace and I call Accra, Accra will say, go direct to their exit. Only that clearance. Go direct to the exit point of their airways. They don't ask you, what time are you going to get around Aflao? What time are you going to get to Accra? So what is happening here is not total. It is not total radar coverage. There are holes even in the airspace that is not covered by radar.
Don't you think that could also be, failure of maybe manpower training? Not
training
just not,
training
not,
has to
not
do
in
with it.
terms
I
of
said so a couple of days back. Training and retraining. There is no substitute for training and retraining. Look, the people need to understand how the system really works, because when there is an incident, people don't know who to, hold responsible and all that. We have three major bodies. The NCAA, who are the regulatory body. Theirs is to make the regulations. Theirs is to enforce, to ensure that people follow the rules. So what does the NCAA do? NCAA register airlines. They take airlines through the process of becoming an airline. And I can assure you, from what I have seen with the FCA, for what I have passed through with them, there is no thread that can pass through the eye of the NCAA needle without being checked. So there is no airline right now in Nigeria that is operating without having passed through the rigors of certification. So NCAA is doing a very marvelous job. I've said it on this program before now. But the buck doesn't stop only with the NCAA. Next to the NCAA, you have NAMA. The head of NAMA today is one engineer, Nnamdi Udo. He's a friend of mine, and is one person who listens. On a few occasions, I have had to go to him to tell him, look, tell your men this. That is the air traffic controllers. And Udo has actually gotten up. In my presence, he has called two supervisors to say, hey, look, these things we used to do in 1970, why are we still doing it? It's happening in the airspace of Nigeria.
So that's the training issue you're talking about.
That's the training issue, the exposure issue, and that thing is causing chaos in the skies.